A quick overview of Mohandas Gandhi is he was a leader of Indian nationalism in a British-ruled India. He stood for nonviolent civil disobedience and led India to independence. He inspired movements for civil rights and freedom across the entire world. Gandhi was born on October 2, 1869, born in Porbandar, India. He married in 1863 and in 1888 left for England to study law. In 1891, he passed his bar exam, and in 1893, he accepted a job at a law firm in South Africa and wound up staying for 20 years. While in South Africa, he was appalled by the treatment of Indian immigrants, so he decided to move his entire family there, to join the struggle to obtain basic rights for the people of India. He served time in jail countless times, and I will get further into that later in the presentation. As mentioned previously, Gandhi was a firm believer of nonviolent civil disobedience, also known as satyagraha, which translates to devotion to truth. Some principles of those who follow this are believing in nonviolence, truthfulness, no stealing, chastity, non-possession, fearlessness, equal respect for all religions, etc. This principle influenced world leaders like Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King Jr. Gandhi believed it was important to have a mission. He once said, "A small body of determined spirits fired by an unquenchable faith in their mission can alter the course of history." Gandhi's vision was to see an independent India, free from the British, but in 1919 the British announced the Rowlatt Acts. These meant that the British could arrest and charge someone on the spot with no trial, charged with sedition, which meant conspiring against the government. Gandhi especially did not stand for this after studying law for so many years. So he introduced the new satyagraha, still the same principles from before, however putting it into action. Gandhi aligned his followers by publishing many editorials because he was an exceptional journalist. He took over as editor of the Indian Opinion in South Africa and published it in 3 languages. He believed it was his duty to serve the public. Although it was under devastating circumstances, alignment was also built after the Amritsar massacre in 1919. Over 350 people were massacred at a city park that were meeting to protest mandatory enlistment of the people of India into the war and the heavy war tax on them. All victims were unarmed, and the British and Gurkha troops opened fire on them. In 1930, a British Salt Act was passed which prohibited the selling or collecting of salt and placed a heavy tax on it. Gandhi led a group of several thousand people to Dandi, over 240 miles from mid-March to May, and spoke to large crowds along the way. Over 60,000 people were arrested by the British troops, including Gandhi. Pictured here is Gandhi fasting in protest of British rule. He often did this as an act of nonviolent civil disobedience. Even while imprisoned, Gandhi's followers still followed nonviolent civil disobedience. On May 21st, several hundred British-led Indian policemen met 2,500 marchers and beat them vigorously while continuing the Salt March. This caused an international outcry against British policy in India. The incident was recorded by an American journalist, and he exposed what was going on in South Africa. The Government of India Act was the first step towards Indian independence. However, then World War II began and everything changed. Sir Stafford Cripps, a British politician, presented to the Indian National Congress. He said that the people of India would have autonomy, however within British Commonwealth, after the war ended. The members of the Indian National Congress rejected this. Lots of members were arrested, and Gandhi was again imprisoned in 1942. He was released 2 years later in 1944. In 1947, Indian independence became official. However, India and Pakistan were considered 2 separate countries. In 1948, Gandhi was assassinated by a Hindu nationalist. A characteristic of Mahatma Gandhi that separates him from other leaders is his act of forgiveness. He said, "The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong." After being thrown into jail countless times and beaten on the streets, and many threats to his life as an assassination, Gandhi always forgave others. Gandhi also had a strong sense of his self and had a lot of faith. He said, "Men often become what they believe themselves to be. If I believe I cannot do something, it makes me incapable of doing it. But when I believe I can, then I acquire the ability to do it, even if I didn't have it in the beginning." This shows the importance of knowing who you are, like we did in class in our DISC assessment. Gandhi also admitted his mistakes. He often claimed to struggle with chastity and said he was a slacker in his early years in schools. This reminded me of the 5 dysfunctions of a team we did in class. We all make mistakes and we sometimes struggle to work with others, but it's important to reflect on these and move forward. So what is the so what in reflecting on Mahatma Gandhi as a leader? He was a great example of a leader with a clear mission, vision, and strategies of alignment and execution. He gained independence for an entire country and started out as somebody just like us, a student. I'd say we're all great leaders and students, but no one in this class is some sort of leadership prodigy. He's an example of one person who changed the world.